If you were to build an anime from the ground up, right? And you were to make it as bad as you possibly could on purpose, you know, like you know, as a joke, right? And you were to put it out there and be like, hey, look at this bad anime I made. Pretty funny, huh? Would it look like this? Would it look like Nora? Was this anime created to be bad on purpose? I fail to see how this came into being. I really do. You know, there's only so many ways that you can say, well, this anime is bad. But Nora just transcends that. Nora, you know, like, if there's a line graph and, you know, here's Berserk 2015 and, you know, let's put that on there, and then, like, Gunbuster is way on the opposite end of the anime spectrum where the good stuff is, I think Nora would be the very end of the line. It's that bad. I legitimately thought that when I was watching this, that the laserdisc player that this was being played off of had some kind of weird skip every other frame mode on it, right? Because I don't know if you've ever had like an old VCR or an old laserdisc player, but they do that. And I thought it was stuck in some kind of weird ass backwards mode that I didn't know how to get it onto, but then it starts speeding up again, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then you start, you know, you realize, it hits you. You're like, oh my god, it's not something wrong with what I'm playing it on. The internet isn't screwed up, my Laserdisc player is playing fine. This anime actually is real, and it looks like this, and you can never go back. I remember a time before Nora, you know, when I thought that pretty much all anime was at least kind of good, and that I could pick pretty much any VHS tape. I picked out Shonan Baku Sozoku, pretty good anime. I was like, oh, okay, this is great. I should show people this. And then you pick out Nora, and then the darkness sets in, and nothing is the same. In a medium that is constantly trying not to animate things, because drawing things is hard, obviously, right? Aesthetics are incredibly important. I shouldn't have to point this out when talking about an anime, that anime has to be, you know, animated. It's like right in there in the name. But when you're not animating things that are, you know, like if you are stuck on a character's face, where nothing is happening, right? You want that one still frame that's going to be focused on for like 5 seconds or so, not to look like a hot pile of garbage, right? Because if it does, you're going to notice people with dots for eyes, you're going to notice that signs that have letters on them aren't properly spelled, and nobody spell checked it because nobody who worked on what you're animating knew any English. This one sign, my god, departure. I read this and my brain throws an error. I almost blue screen trying to understand what the hell is going on in this show. Nora says hell to animation. Let's just throw all that out. We don't know how to spell, we don't know how to animate, you barely know how to draw. I don't know how you get a character and you can't draw a circle for an eye and you have like an octagon or a rectangle for an eye, but that happens in this anime. Nora was only released on VHS and Laserdisc. Shocker. I know that this didn't get released in any other format. It's almost like nobody wanted to re-release it. You know, they didn't think some jackass from the year 2019 from the future was going to start making fun of their anime from the 80s that they barely probably got out the door. But like, here we are, and it's a thing, and I'm looking at it and I don't know how to describe it. It is the most, it's like frustratingly confusing how this went out the door. It doesn't make any sense. Make a video about me if you can, Nora screams at you from the darkness beyond time. Does Nora have a story? What is Nora about? Well, it kind of has a story. I'd like to tell you the plot, but there really isn't any. Nora is a bounty hunter for some reason. She has psychic powers for some reason. She can stop time for some reason. She can teleport for some reason. Also, she doesn't need money even though she's a bounty hunter, which makes her some kind of Ultra Instinct tier elder god, capable of doing literally anything she wants because she's Nora, goddammit. There are supposed to be checks and balances, so things like this, you know, they don't happen, right? What series of events even led to this being pressed onto a laserdisc? Who was responsible for this paragon of animation? Well, when looking up Nora, one name and one name only comes up: Mikuria Satomi. Not a lot of info on this guy, but he's listed as something that I almost never see in anime, as 3D art director on the famous 3D helicopter scene from the Golgo 13 movie. All the other info that I can find about him says that he was on the bleeding edge of computers at the time, and on the other side of the laserdisc, you can see him drawing his perfect angel Nora on a computer that must have cost more than this entire anime. And I say special, but it really just gives us no info about how this anime got made. It's just him and his crew goofing around, and it was probably made entirely as an excuse to get some girl to dress up as his anime waifu. There are entire scenes where it's just him showing off his motorcycle to some cosplayer that they hired. If you wanted to dress up as Nora and walk through an anime convention at a blazing 60 seconds a frame, this is what the official Twinkle Nora Rock Me cosplay costume looks like. And if you try to track down the original manga that has never been reprinted, by the way, you'll find a picture of Nora on the cover riding a motorcycle that looks suspiciously like the motorcycle that Nora's creator is showing off. Now, I'm not saying the guy who made this anime made it specifically so he could spend the budget on a sick Kawasaki motorcycle, but maybe, just maybe, you don't also spend the rest of that budget on a 3D intro for your anime special at a time where computers take up an entire floor of an apartment building. I have never seen an anime that looks so bad that the flip book illustrating what the anime is supposed to look like when it's actually finished is better animated than the anime itself. Maybe you don't draw one frame of an anime and just shake the camera up and down to simulate an earthquake. You know, maybe you don't make Nora into an anime. Maybe you say to yourself, you know what, that 3D sequence in Golgo 13, it was not up to my standards. Maybe I should stick to making manga. Maybe that's the choice you make. Maybe you do something else. Maybe you start working on the CDI, which apparently this guy worked on for some reason. I don't even believe that, but it's in the Wikipedia article on the guy's Japanese Wikipedia page. To make that many mistakes in life is just unheard of, but it's there, and it's staring me in the face, so I have to at least mention it, right? Let's say something nice about our perfect angel Nora's perfect anime. At least the music is good, right? Honestly, it's not that bad. The problem is that no matter how good the music is, it is completely overshadowed by what little animation there is, if you can even call that PowerPoint presentation an animation sequence. And that doesn't happen once, that happens twice. That scene that I uploaded onto YouTube, which you're probably watching right now if I'm doing this review, is a minute into the anime. This isn't something that happens like way at the end when they ran out of money. It is right there, front and center. It's not hidden. They wanted you to see this. They were proud of it.
Proud.
I'm sorry if I sound a little bit off my game today, but I tend to not have to use terms like PowerPoint, animated manga, 300 IQ 1 frame per second big brain experience. I don't use terms like this when I normally talk about my anime, right? I guess this is the part of the video where I tell you that Rock Me Nora, or Nora Rock Me, or Twinkle Rock Me Nora, whatever the hell you want to call this anime, it's actually a sequel. This was not Japan's first attempt at making Nora into an anime, if you can believe that. Just a half a year earlier, another Nora anime came out, and it looks nothing like this. It doesn't look anything like this. It may be a little boring, sure, but at least it was animated. An attempt was made. The original Nora anime came out January 21st, 1985. Twinkle Nora Rock Me came out November 21st, 1985. They made one OVA, and then in the span of a few months, somehow, this happened. I am a worse person for having seen this. When the comment section on a 2-minute clip from your anime looks like a therapy group for Vietnam War veterans, that's kind of a red flag for your anime. You know, it's one thing to say an anime doesn't look good, or that the character designs are boring, or that it's not animated well, but even if every frame of this anime was done by Studio Ghibli, I could not call this a good anime, and man oh man, that is really, really saying something. Let's talk about voice actors for a second. The voice actor for Nora also voiced Best Girl Barry from Twinkle Heart. You guys watched Twinkle Heart, right? That's pretty much the most specific piece of anime trivia that has ever been said on YouTube. This anime fails on almost every front I can think of. There's no animation, there's no story, this thing barely qualifies as an anime. I would like to point out that animation is a visual medium. It allows you to make literally anything happen. Anything at all! If you use your imagination, you can make a show where a spooky skeleton pushes people around, or a political drama about the ups and downs of democracy. Nora says, forget all that, we don't even need animation where we're going. It's a shame it honestly looks that bad, because the original manga, from what I can tell, it looks really nice. Good line work, it looks very pulpy, it reminds me of good things. Things with animation, things I like. You know, things that look like anime, like Lensman and Space Adventure Cobra. Stuff that I've seen and enjoyed. This anime is so densely packed with things that are wrong, it feels like reading Highlights magazine. In this scene, they decided to animate this one guy in this crowd. Why him? Why was that so important? It's like peeling an onion. There's so many layers to this one 2-minute piece of animation. It's incredible. If you were a madman, and I mean an absolute mad lad, and you wanted to own a piece of animation history, a cell from the film that this anime came from could be yours on eBay for the low, low price of 122 American dollars. Nora might look like it was sent back in time by Terminators to warn us of a future where the Berserk 2016 anime exists, but Rock Me Nora's true value lies in its spectacular mediocrity. It is the sort of lightning in a bottle that could only happen in the 1980s. It exists as a boogeyman to keep future animators in check, to show them what can happen when you don't do your job. Better tighten up that animation, you don't want another Nora on your hands.